We're going in depth now with our own Lauren Steinbrecker, who has been following this case from the start and following these hearings, Lauren. And let's start with these two hearings. What were they? What happened?
Yeah, Max, they were really procedural, pretty short. Chad's longer than Lori's. Lori's was very short because her initial appearance was actually continued. The court said they found exigent circumstances. They kind of took a recess before court was supposed to start. So not sure what those exigent circumstances are, but for whatever reason, they didn't go forward with that. However, Chad, those charges were read off, as we just saw, including now in his first wife, Tammy Daybell's death. He did waive the right to a full reading of the indictment. His face kind of stayed the same during the court hearing. And his arraignment, Max, I will say, is on June 9th, which is exactly the 1 year to the date of when those children, their bodies were found and when Chad was arrested.
Wow. It's a strange coincidence if that's what it is.
Absolutely.
And Lauren, I wonder, it makes your head spin. There's so many different parts to all of this. Let's go to that murder charge of Tammy Daybell, Chad's first wife. That's something that we knew that she had died. We knew maybe that this was a part of the whole investigation, but that's kind of new for us, right, as of yesterday?
Yeah, especially because we knew that her results from the autopsy were done, but we never knew what they were exactly. We didn't know what did they show, you know, how did she die? And we still don't have that answer because that was not in the indictment. But yeah, this is the first time that we know that they believe they can make that strong link between Chad and Tammy's death being a homicide, him being responsible for it. You know, there were some definitely some interesting new details that were in the indictment kind of around that we didn't know before, like Chad and Lori exchanging text messages apparently about death percentages for Tammy and JJ, claiming that Tammy was possessed by a spirit named Viola.
Wow.
Yeah, so just some of those details that continue to come out despite all that we have learned so far.
So that's also something that that we learned, right? That they're tying in Lori with that crime that they're calling a crime as well, the murder of his wife, his ex-wife. Were they ex-wives at the time, or was he still married? I'm sorry, my head spins. Yeah.
Right, I know it's a lot to keep track of, especially because it has been a while. It's been a long time that they've been putting this together, so it's been a while since people have probably been caught up. But yeah, so Chad and Tammy were married. Tammy passed away in October. Weeks later was when he married Lori.
Okay.
And so now we're finding out that there are text messages between Chad and Lori,
wow,
you know, back in the summer before Tammy died, of them talking about her death. Talking about Lori's, the death of her son, JJ, her adopted son, you know, and so we now know that this is kind of in the months leading up to everyone's deaths.
And so this is, they're exchanging these messages, Chad and Lori are, Tammy dies, the children are still there, and now what do we know that we didn't know before about the deaths of those children or those cases?
Well, the children actually died before Tammy.
Oh, they did? Okay,
yes,
see,
yeah, that was back in September, right? Yeah. So a month beforehand, you know, but they were missing. So that's why a lot of that was just uncertainty after Tammy had died of what had happened to the children. But now we're kind of piecing together more of what happened in the months leading up to everyone's deaths. We just don't know yet how exactly each person died. We know the children were last seen with Alex Cox, according to Lori's best friend, but we still don't have some of those answers. But now we have some more of those links as to the couple talking about you know, with their religious beliefs and text messages, Google searches even, that they had done before anyone died in this situation.
Wow. And okay, so the last thing in all of this, you're really helping me sort through these things because it is so much. How did they have enough money to do what they did? While the kids were missing, before they were discovered dead, they were living in Hawaii.
Right. Yeah, living pretty well in Hawaii, it seemed like. And that's actually part of the charges that we have in the indictment here, insurance fraud on Tammy Daybell's life insurance. We now know, according to the indictment, that Chad upped Tammy's life insurance before her death, actually to the max of what it was allowed to be. And we also know from that indictment, Lori is accused of taking Social Security payments that were meant to go to JJ and Tylee. Instead, she transferred them over to her bank account, was taking those benefits months after they had died without reporting that they had died. So they had money coming in from a few different sources.
Okay, well, we're out of time, but it does sound, I don't know, you cover crime a whole lot more than I do. It doesn't sound like they were covering their tracks real well, that the kinds of evidence they're talking about are things that it seems like you might think people would pay attention to.
Well, I mean, it certainly took them a long time to piece these things together, but they, prosecutors definitely went in. They were able to find those little bits and pieces and add it all up to what we see today.
Okay. Lauren Steinbrecker, thank you. You can tell that I needed this refresher, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers as well, as we're learning so much more about this case.